God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him. God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him. Love is my source. God is love. I cannot see apart from love. Love is my source. I cannot see apart from love. God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him. God is my source, or love is my source. It's the same thing. I cannot see apart from Him or from love. Well, thank you all so much for joining me in studying A Course in Miracles. We're ready for lesson 43 here on Monday, February the 12th of 2024. I'm Miracle Willie, forgiveness teacher from the Ozarks. And before we read our lesson, let's look at our text reading for today. And we're going to read about half of the alternative to projection, which is in chapter 6, the lessons of love. Roman numeral 2, the alternative to projection. Any split in mind must involve a rejection of part of it, and this is the belief in separation. Any split in the mind must involve a rejection of part of the mind, and this is the belief in separation. The wholeness of God, which is His peace, cannot be appreciated except by a whole mind that recognizes the wholeness of God's creation. By this recognition, it knows its Creator. Exclusion and separation are synonymous, as are separation and dissociation. We've said before that the separation was and is dissociation, and that once it occurs, projection becomes its main defense, or the device that keeps it going. The reason, however, may not be so obvious as you think. Paragraph 2. What you project, you disown, and therefore do not believe is yours. So when you're projecting, you're blaming, you're seeing yourself as separate. You are excluding yourself by the very judgment that you are different from the one on whom you project. Since you've also judged against what you project, you continue to attack it because you continue to keep it separated. By doing this unconsciously, you try to keep the fact that you attacked yourself out of awareness, and thus imagine that you have made yourself safe. Wow. We're not seeing ourselves in our brother, are we? I think we're made ourselves safe by pushing them away. Yet projection will always hurt you. It reinforces your belief in your own split mind, and its only purpose is to keep the separation going. It is solely a device of the ego to make you feel different from your brothers and separated from them. The ego justifies this on the grounds that it makes you seem better than they are, thus obscuring your equality with them still further. Projection and attack are inevitably related because projection is always a means of justifying attack. Anger without projection is impossible. The ego uses projection only to destroy your perception of both yourself and your brothers. The process begins by excluding something that exists in you, but which you do not want, and leads directly to excluding you from your brothers. The process begins by excluding something that exists in you, but which you do not want, and leads directly to excluding you from your brothers. So you have this feeling inside, anger, upset, discouragement. You didn't like what someone did, and they triggered something in you. So you projected onto them that they were the cause and that you guys are separate from each other and you need to push them away or scold them and tell them not to do that again. But he's saying, no. That's projecting onto somebody else that they're separate from you, and that's not a reality, because they are you. They're the same as you. We've learned, however, that there is an alternative to projection. Every ability the ego has a better one. Every ability the ego has a better Every ability of the ego has a better use, because its abilities are directed by the mind, which has a better voice. The Holy Spirit extends and the ego projects. As their goals are opposed, so is the result. Paragraph 5. The Holy Spirit begins by perceiving you as perfect. Knowing this perfection is shared, he recognizes it in others, thus strengthening it in both. Instead of anger, this arouses love for both, because it establishes inclusion. Perceiving equality, the Holy Spirit perceives equal needs. This invites atonement automatically, because atonement is the one need in this world that is universal. To perceive yourself this way is the only way in which you can find happiness in the world. That is because it is the acknowledgement that you are not in this world, for the world is unhappy. We have a better state that we're in, and it's not born of this world. We can come through the world, but we are our home only in our native state, which doesn't involve the body or the world at all. Paragraph 6. How else can you find joy in a joyless place except by realizing that you are not there? You cannot be anywhere God did not put you, and God created you as part of Him. That is both where you are and what you are. It is completely unalterable. It is total inclusion. You cannot change it now or ever. It is forever true. It is not a belief, but a fact. Anything that God created is as true as He is. Its truth lies only in its perfect inclusion in Him, who alone is perfect. To deny this is to deny yourself and Him, since it is impossible to accept one without the other. And I think we'll stop on this next paragraph, paragraph 7. The perfect equality of the Holy Spirit's perception is the reflection of the perfect equality of God's knowing. The perfect equality of the Holy Spirit's perception is the reflection of the perfect equality of God's knowing. The ego's perception has no counterpart in God, but the Holy Spirit remains the bridge between perception and knowledge. By enabling you to use perception in a way that reflects knowledge, you will ultimately remember it. The ego would prefer to believe that this memory is impossible, yet it is your perception the Holy Spirit guides. Your perception will end where it began. Everything meets in God, because everything was created by Him and in Him. Okay, well let's stop there in our text reading, and let's go look in our lesson 43. While you're turning there, though, let's see what's going on around the world today out of holidays and observances. It's Clean Out Your Computer Day, Darwin Day, which was born on this day in 1809, Georgia Day, it was which it became a state of the United States in 1790, about this day. Hug Day, give someone a hug. International Day Against the Use of Child Soldiers. Well, that'd be a good thing to do. International Epilepsy Day. Lincoln's birthday, also born in 1809 on this day. Isn't that something? Lincoln and Darwin, born on the same day, same year. Meal Monday, and that has to do with the ancient Scottish universities. They were, people were required to bring their own fuel to keep warm, and I guess they were bringing their own meals too. I'm not exactly sure what it all, but it's a Scottish remembrance, Meal Monday, about Scottish universities. NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People Day. National Football Hangover Day, day after the Super Bowl. National Freedom to Marry Day. National Lost Penny Day. National Plum Pudding Day. Oatmeal Day. Oglethorpe Day. Paul Bunyan Day, the giant mythological hero of the American lumber camp, the symbol of bigness, strength, and vitality. Safety Pup Day, and Shrove Monday. Shrove is it's an archaic use of the word for like a priest, and when he performs confessions. So basically, it's saying get your confessions in for all your indulgences. Okay, before Lent coming along here in a few days. Okay, beginning of Lent, that is. Okay, Permaculture for Beginners by Carrie Mitchell. We're in Chapter 2. The last section in Chapter 2 is which is climate and regional considerations. And she talks about structures like walls, fences, buildings, man-made things, and how they affect sunlight and water flow, water catchment, wind, how wind is create little microclimates because of buildings and walls. And then in edible landscaping, we have the Climax Southern Blueberry. Climax is a southern type blueberry with large berries ripening uniformly with a sweet flavor about 1 month before powder blue. Leaves have a blue hint and are very ornamental, turning red in the fall. Everyone should have a Climax in their backyard. Native zones 5, 7 through 9. Okay. All right, now let's go look at our lesson for today. 43, God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him. Perception is not an attribute of God. His is the realm of knowledge. Yet He has created the Holy Spirit as the mediator between perception and knowledge. Without this link with God, perception would have replaced knowledge forever in your mind. With this link with God, perception will become so changed and purified that it will lead to knowledge. That is its function as the Holy Spirit sees it. Therefore, that is its function in truth. In God you cannot see. Perception has no function in God and does not exist. Yet in salvation, which is the undoing of what never was, perception has a mighty purpose. Made by the Son of God for an unholy purpose, it must become the means for the restoration of His holiness to His awareness. Perception has no meaning, yet does the Holy Spirit give it a meaning very close to God's. Healed perception becomes the means by which the Son of God forgives His brother and thus forgives Himself. Catch that. Healed perception becomes the means by which the Son of God forgives His brother and thus forgives Himself. Instead, we start realizing there's no need to blame anyone. Don't project what you don't like inside your self onto imagining that they're the cause, whoever triggered it. They're your bringers of salvation. They're the ones that let you know that there's a way of looking inside yourself that's not in harmony with God's knowing. So instead of blaming, we need to be given thanks for helping us to awaken. So again, on that last sentence in paragraph 2, Healed perception becomes the means by which the Son of God forgives his brother and thus forgives himself. Catch that. When you forgive your brother, you're really forgiving yourself. You cannot see apart from God because you cannot be apart from God. Whatever you do in Him, because whatever you think with His mind. If vision is real, and it is real to the extent to which it shares the Holy Spirit's purpose, then you cannot see apart from God. 3 5-minute practice periods are required today, one as early and one as late as possible in the day. The third may be undertaken at the most convenient and suitable time that circumstances and readiness permit. At the beginning of these practice periods, repeat the idea for today to yourself with eyes opened. God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him. You'll say that with your eyes open at the beginning of these 3 5-minute practice periods. Then glance around you for a short time, applying the ideas specifically to what you see. 4 or 5 subjects for this phase of the practice period are sufficient. You might say, for example, God is my source. I cannot see this desk apart from Him. God is my source. I cannot see this or that picture apart from Him. Although this part of the exercise period should be relatively short, be sure that you select the subjects for this phase of practice indiscriminately, without self-directed inclusion or exclusion. For the second and longer phase, close your eyes. Repeat today's idea again, and then let whatever relevant thoughts occur to you add to the idea in your own personal way. So the second part, so you're going to do 4 or 5 things you're just going to look at and say, you're going to say that God is my source. I cannot see that cedar tree apart from Him. And pick 4 or 5 things that your eyes light on and say it. And then close your eyes and say the idea again. God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him. And then he says, then look at related thoughts that come to you. For the second and longer phase, close your eyes, repeat today's idea again, and then let whatever relevant thoughts occur to you add to the idea in your own personal way. Thoughts such as, I see through the eyes of forgiveness. I see the world as blessed. The world can show me myself. I see my own thoughts, which are like God's. Any thought related more or less directly to today's idea is suitable. The thoughts need not bear any obvious relationship to the idea, but they should not be in opposition to it. Okay? If you find your mind wandering, if you begin to be aware of thoughts which are clearly out of accord with today's idea, or if you seem to be unable to think of anything, open your eyes, repeat the first phase of the exercise period, and then attempt the second phase again. Do not allow any protracted period to occur in which you become preoccupied with irrelevant thoughts. Return to the first phase of the exercise as often as necessary to prevent this. So he's saying you might get hopelessly wrapped up in something you're thinking, and he says don't let that happen. If you notice that you're not thinking about the idea for the day and letting related thoughts come to you, then he said do the first part of the exercise again, which is open your eyes and look around and say, God did not, or God, not God did not, God is my source. I cannot see apart from Him, or God is my source. I cannot see that, and then you name that, whatever you're looking at, that rock apart from Him, that blade of grass apart from Him. And then close your eyes again and do the second part. But he's making this, he says, do not allow any protracted period to occur in which you become preoccupied with irrelevant thoughts. Return to the first phase of the exercises as often as necessary to prevent this. In applying today's idea in the shorter practice periods, The form may vary according to the circumstances and situations in which you find yourself during the day. When you are with someone else, for example, try to remember to tell him silently, God is my source. I cannot see you apart from him. So throughout the day, the shorter practice periods are just throughout the day, bring it to your memory. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. And then he says, make it personal. So when you meet someone, God is my source. I cannot see you apart from him. You can say that silently. You could say it out loud too, under the right circumstances. But this form is equally applicable to strangers as it is to those you think are closer to you. In fact, try not to make distinctions of this kind at all, of people that are closer to you and strangers. He said, try not to even make that distinction, because everyone's your dear brother, part of you. They are you. Paragraph 8. Today's idea should also be applied throughout the day to various situations and events that may occur, particularly to those which seem to distress you in any way. For this purpose, apply the idea in this form. God is my source. I cannot see this apart from him. Now, there'd be where if you feel like that need to blame someone or to get angry with someone, to attack someone, to think little of someone, or to get away from someone, to avoid them, any of those, this would be a great one to use. God is my source. I cannot see this apart from him. If no particular subject presents itself to your awareness at the time, merely repeat the idea in its original form. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. Try today not to allow any long periods of time to slip by without remembering today's idea, and thus remembering your function. Your function is to see as God sees. God is your source, or love is your source. You cannot see apart from him. Okay, well, let's sing our song. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. Make sure I get it right here. Let me listen to the first chorus. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. And when you start your meditation, God is my source. I cannot see this blank apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see this part of him apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see this or that apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. Love is my source. I cannot see apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. And as you meet people, God is my source. I cannot see you apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see you apart from him. If you get upset, God is my source. I cannot see this apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see this apart from him. Throughout the day, God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. Love is my source. I cannot see apart from him. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. And I would encourage you all, if you're looking for just multiple ways of getting this information into you, check out Carol Howell's videos on Course in Miracles. She does just the course, and she kind of reads it with her own flair to it. And I find her words encouraging. I think most of you all probably will too if you enjoy going through the course. Okay, and our Algonquin word for peace, the Algonquin Indians of the northeastern North America, and we're gonna try this as Wâki Ijiwebis-I. Wâki Ijiwebis-I. Wâki Ijiwebis-I is our word for peace in Algonquin. Wâki Ijiwebis-I. That's hillbilly pronunciation, but we'll do the best we can here, okay? So until tomorrow, tell yourself often, don't let there be long periods where you don't think about this idea today. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. And hang out with the idea and let it kind of make it meaningful to you. And then throughout the day, think of it every few minutes. Say, God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. When you think of people, say it to them in your mind. And when you meet people, say it to them in your mind. God is my source. I cannot see you apart from him. Matter of fact, I can't even see myself apart from, I cannot see myself apart from you. You can say that to people. God is my source. I cannot see this apart from him. Whatever the situation's occurring. God is my source. I cannot see apart from him. Wâki Ijiwebis-I.